What if you woke up tomorrow in a world ruled by beings 3 times your height? Imagine stepping outside only to find footprints the size of swimming pools stamped deep into the soil. Picture looking up at enormous figures whose shadows blot out the sun, whose voices rumble like thunder across the land, and whose very presence fills you with a primal fear you can't explain. This isn't science fiction. This is ancient history. According to texts from civilizations across the world, there was once an era when giants walked among men. The Nephilim from Hebrew scripture, the Titans from Greek mythology, and the Fomorians of Celtic legend. But these weren't gentle giants from bedtime stories. They were predators, and you would have been their prey. So, why wouldn't you survive the Age of Giants? Let's find out together in this episode of Digging History. Welcome. Imagine awakening in their time, the Age of Giants. Your eyes flutter open, but something feels off. The ground beneath you trembles in a steady rhythm, like a colossal heartbeat. You sit up, dazed, until the truth sinks in. Those aren't heartbeats. They're footsteps. You rush to the window, but what you see sends a chill down your spine. The world outside looks wrong, distorted. The trees seem like matchsticks. The hills look flat, and far on the horizon, gigantic shadows move slowly, each one like a mountain coming to life. The Hebrew Bible names them Nephilim. Genesis 6:4 says, "The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. These were the heroes of old, men of renown." But as those towering figures draw near, you realize something terrifying. They weren't heroes. They were executioners. According to the Book of Enoch, an ancient text older than the Bible itself, these beings weren't simply oversized humans. They were abominations, hybrid offspring born from the union of fallen angels and human women. The text describes them as being 3,000 ells tall, roughly 9,000 feet in height. Now, as one of them approaches your settlement, those numbers suddenly make sense. You tilt your head back, trying to see the top of its body, but it stretches beyond your sight. Its foot alone dwarfs your entire village. When it takes a single step, the earth shudders so violently that you collapse to your knees. You try to run, but where could you possibly go? In a world built by giants, for giants, there's nowhere small enough for you to hide. These beings weren't content to coexist with humankind. Ancient sources describe them as ravenous, insatiable consumers. The Book of Enoch says they devoured all that men produced, and when resources ran dry, they turned on humans themselves. You crouch behind what's left of your home, a wall shattered to rubble by the creature's arrival. Through the dust, you see massive fingers, thicker than tree trunks, reaching down. You watch in horror as people, your friends, your neighbors, your family, are plucked up effortlessly, examined like insects, and then lifted toward a mouth so vast that a person could walk inside it standing upright. This is your new reality. You're not just small, you're food. Let's say you somehow survived that first encounter. Maybe the giant was distracted by easier prey. Maybe you found a fissure deep enough to hide in. But survival only raises a harder question. How do you live in a world that was never meant for you? You need food, but the fields that once fed your village are now flattened under colossal footprints. The few surviving grains are scattered for miles, and trying to collect them would mean spending hours exposed. Hours that could end the moment another shadow appears on the horizon. You need shelter, but look around. Every structure towers like a cathedral, built for beings whose scale defies your imagination. Doorways stretch dozens of feet high. Staircases are carved from single slabs of stone, each step taller than you. Across the globe, we find enormous stone ruins that puzzle modern archaeology. The trilithons of Stonehenge, the foundation blocks of Baalbek, some weighing more than 800 tons, and the precision-cut stones of Puma Punku in Bolivia, so perfectly aligned that not even a knife blade can slip between them. Modern engineers admit we couldn't recreate these feats today, even with our advanced machines. But now it makes sense. These monuments weren't made for us. They were constructed by and for giants, who lifted 800-ton stones as easily as you lift a mug. You still need water, but even that is impossible. The wells and fountains of this world are so deep and wide they look like cliffs. The jars and containers used to draw water are larger than bathtubs, each one weighing more than a car. Even if you somehow reached the water, how would you ever lift a bucket designed for hands the size of your entire body? In Lebanon, at the ancient site of Baalbek, lie the largest carved stones ever discovered. The Temple of Jupiter stands upon a foundation made of blocks weighing around 800 tons each. But even more mysterious are the unfinished stones nearby. Monoliths weighing up to 1,200 tons, carved with an accuracy that modern engineers still can't fully explain. As you move through these colossal, abandoned cities, every artifact you find feels impossible. Hammers heavier than vehicles, goblets large enough to swim in, weapons so massive you couldn't even shift them an inch, let alone wield them. You're not just small in this place, you're powerless. And that's when it hits you, the horrifying realization. You were never meant to survive here. You were meant to serve, or be consumed. But let's say you somehow managed to find food, water, and a hidden corner to call shelter in this monstrous world. That's when the real nightmare begins, facing the rulers themselves. The Book of Jubilees, another ancient text, claims that during their reign, injustice multiplied upon the earth, and all flesh corrupted its ways. These beings weren't just physically superior, they were morally rotten to the core. And you, small and defenseless, would be entirely at their mercy. Imagine your daily routine in this nightmare realm. You wake, if you even manage to sleep through the constant trembling of the ground beneath their steps, and immediately scan the horizon for movement. Then you hear it.
Seismic readings show something massive moving deep underground.
Deep, booming laughter that shakes the sky. And it's getting closer. According to scripture, these giants filled the earth with violence. The Hebrew word used, Hamas, doesn't mean ordinary violence. It means cruelty, brutality, the deliberate destruction of everything good and just. The laughter grows, and with dread, you realize the truth. They're playing a game, and you're the toy. You run, but your legs are tiny compared to their strides. Each step they take covers more ground than you could in minutes. You dive behind a boulder just as a shadow swallows the light. A shadow cast by a figure so tall you can't even see its head. A sound rolls above you, a voice like thunder, speaking in a tongue that rumbles like avalanches. You don't understand the words, but the tone is unmistakable. Amusement. To this creature, your panic is entertainment. A hand descends, vast, unstoppable, each finger thicker than a tree trunk, sweeping the ground near you. It toys with you, lets you think you might escape, then casually blocks your only exit. This isn't hunting. This is playtime. And you are the game piece. This is what daily life would look like under their dominion. Not a fight for survival, but a slow, cruel spectacle for beings who see humans as pests to toy with. Ancient records say these giants weren't just violent, they were systematically evil. They corrupted humankind by teaching forbidden knowledge, the crafting of weapons, the dark art of warfare, the secrets of sorcery, vanity, and seduction. But they didn't share this wisdom to help humanity evolve. They shared it to destroy it. Now imagine meeting one who appears friendly, a giant who doesn't immediately crush you, but kneels, lowering itself until its face, still towering above you, fills the sky like a living mountain. It offers to teach you, but what it teaches is poison. How to forge weapons that pit man against man, how to twist emotion and will through dark enchantments, how to summon powers that corrode your very soul. You soon realize, even the kind giants are not saviors. They're corruptors. Their presence alone infects the world, turning survival itself into a slow, spiritual decay. You wouldn't just be living beneath giant overlords. You'd be trapped in a world rotted by their influence, where every moment of survival costs you another piece of your humanity. But the most chilling truth of all? The technology they wielded. Ancient writings hint at powers that sound almost impossible, like something out of science fiction. The ability to control weather, to levitate massive stones, to engineer hybrid creatures, and to draw upon knowledge from realms beyond the physical world. Now picture this. You're hiding inside what you think is a safe cave, when suddenly, the air outside changes. Instantly. Not a storm rolling in, but a deliberate act. The sky turns pitch black. Lightning flashes in perfect geometric patterns, and you realize with absolute terror, this isn't nature. This is control. The Book of Enoch speaks of the Watchers teaching humans the cutting of roots and the power of enchantments. Other accounts describe giants who could command the elements, build flying vessels, and wield weapons of devastating power beyond comprehension. Even if somehow you could reach the water, how could you possibly lift a bucket crafted for hands the size of your entire body? In Lebanon, the ancient ruins of Baalbek house some of the largest carved stones ever discovered. The Temple of Jupiter rests upon a foundation made of stones, each weighing nearly 800 tons. And even more astonishing are the unfinished monoliths left in the nearby quarry, some estimated at 1,200 tons, shaped with precision that defies all logic. As you wander through these colossal built cities, every tool, every artifact around you is absurdly oversized. Hammers that weigh as much as vehicles, cups large enough to swim in, weapons you couldn't even move, much less wield. You aren't just small here, you're utterly insignificant. And then the awful realization hits you. You weren't made to live in this world. You were made to serve it, or be devoured by it. Let's assume you somehow find food, water, and shelter among the cracks of this monstrous civilization. Now begins the true horror, confronting the rulers themselves. The Book of Jubilees tells us that injustice multiplied on the earth, and all flesh corrupted its way in the days of the giants. They weren't merely large in stature, they were morally decayed. And you, fragile and defenseless, would exist completely at their mercy. Picture your morning in this nightmare realm. You wake, assuming you managed to sleep through the booming echoes of their footsteps, and scan the horizon for movement. Then you hear it, a low, rhythmic rumble. Not thunder, but laughter. The laughter of giants, rolling across the land like an earthquake. And it's getting closer. Scripture describes them as filling the earth with violence. The Hebrew term Hamas doesn't just mean aggression. It means cruelty, oppression, and the total absence of justice. As that laughter grows nearer, terror grips you. They're playing, and you are part of the game. You run, but your tiny legs can barely make progress. The ground quakes behind you as each colossal step covers miles in seconds. You dive behind a boulder just as a vast shadow engulfs you, a silhouette so tall its head disappears into the clouds. A booming voice rolls above, deep, chaotic, like an avalanche speaking in thunder. You can't understand the words, but the tone is unmistakable. Amusement. Your panic is their entertainment. A massive hand descends, fingers thicker than tree trunks, groping playfully around your hiding spot, blocking every escape as you scramble for cover. This isn't hunting, it's sport, and you're the toy. This is daily existence under giant rule. Not survival, but suffering drawn out for amusement. Ancient writings suggest their violence wasn't random. It was systematic evil. They taught humanity forbidden secrets, how to forge weapons, how to wage war, how to seduce and deceive through dark arts. But this knowledge wasn't shared to uplift mankind. It was given to corrupt and destroy it. Now imagine encountering a benevolent giant, one that doesn't immediately crush you. It kneels, bringing its massive face down to your level, and begins to teach you forbidden wisdom. How to create weapons to turn humans on one another, how to manipulate minds, how to summon things best left unspoken. You slowly realize even the kind ones are no saviors. Their knowledge is poison, their presence a spiritual infection. In this world, every act of survival comes at a price, your humanity. But perhaps the most chilling of all is the technology they wielded. Ancient records hint at abilities that sound like pure science fiction, controlling weather, levitating stones, creating hybrid creatures, and accessing realms beyond the physical world. Now imagine facing such power. You hide inside what you believe is a secure cave, when suddenly the sky changes. Not gradually, but instantly.
What does that mean? Where
Darkness
did it come
swallows the
from?
daylight.
It just replaced every
Lightning
active
strikes in
feed on the
precise
planet.
geometric
Give me a
patterns.
translation now.
You realize, horrified, this isn't a storm. Someone is controlling it. The Book of Enoch speaks of the Watchers teaching humans about the cutting of roots and the power of enchantment. Other accounts describe giants who could command the elements, who built flying crafts, who harnessed weapons of unimaginable destruction. You peer out of your cave and see massive stones drifting through the air like autumn leaves, assembling themselves at the command of an unseen hand. Reality itself bends to the will of these beings, their thoughts rewriting the laws of physics before your eyes. Archaeological remnants hint that such feats might not be mere myth. In Peru, the fortress of Sacsayhuaman is built with stones cut so perfectly that no mortar holds them, yet they've endured earthquakes for centuries. The precision is inhuman, suggesting a forgotten technology. Local legends claim giants made the stones walk. Now picture seeing this firsthand as a tiny observer, watching monoliths float and slot together flawlessly. You understand then that even the Earth's elements have turned against you. Every culture whispers the same story. In Japan, the Oni, towering demons, could move mountains. In Scotland, the Fomorians reshaped the land with sorcery. In North America, tribes spoke of giant cannibals with powers no mortal could comprehend. And now, those legends walk before you. This isn't mythology anymore. It's your living reality. They don't need eyes to find you. They can sense you from miles away. They don't chase. They reshape the land beneath your feet, letting the ground itself deliver you into their grasp. They don't fight. They think, and the air stops in your lungs. The world itself becomes your executioner.
The signal is fluctuating wildly.
Survival is no longer a contest of strength.
Helm,
It's a waiting game of divine cruelty.
All batteries.
And mercy? That was never part of their design. Some humans did try to rebel. Ancient records tell of desperate wars,
The seismic activity
men
is
rising
off
against
the
giants in
charts.
hopeless defiance.
Warning upgraded to
Heroes like David,
catastrophic.
Joshua,
What is that
and
thing on
Caleb
the
stood
TV
against them.
scan?
But read closely. These victories weren't fair. They were miracles. Moments of divine interference in an otherwise unwinnable war. David didn't just face a tall man. He faced a trained warrior from a race of monsters, armed with weapons no human could lift. His spearhead alone weighed 15 pounds. Standing before such a being would be like an insect defying a god. The Age of Giants was marked by rare triumphs and countless tragedies, until corruption drove the creator himself to act. The violence became so vast, the evil so absolute, that the only cure was annihilation. The flood. Imagine witnessing that cataclysm as a survivor. The sky itself opens. Oceans fall from above. You hear not rain, but the sound of the world ending. Genesis says, the earth is filled with violence because of them. The deluge wasn't merely punishment, it was eradication. A divine purge to wash away the giants and their corruption. For the first time, you see them afraid, the mighty thrashing helplessly against divine wrath. It's terrifying, and yet strangely beautiful.
Seismic activity spiking
But as
across
the water
board.
rises, another truth emerges. This salvation might claim you too. And the most haunting revelation of all, the flood didn't erase them completely. In the Book of Numbers, it's written, we saw the Nephilim there. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and the same to them. Even after the flood, the giants returned. So imagine your terror when, generations later, you once again see those colossal shadows stretching across the horizon. The nightmare you thought had ended has returned. And this time, they're angry. This revelation means that the Age of Giants wasn't some ancient myth confined to the distant past. It resurfaced, again and again, throughout human history. Every time civilization began to rise, every time humanity started to flourish, the giants would reappear, to remind mankind of its insignificance. So let's return to the original question. Why wouldn't you survive the Age of Giants? The answer isn't simply their size or strength,
We're losing
though
containment.
those alone
Divert
would make
power to the
survival
Northfield
impossible.
generators now.
It's
not
the
holding.
psychological
distortion is
collapse that such a
increasing
world would
exponentially.
inflict.
Look at the monitors.
Think of how your body reacts today to a genuine threat. A wild animal, a violent stranger, a natural disaster. Your heart pounds, your hands tremble. Adrenaline floods your veins. Now imagine living in that state of panic, forever.
The readings
In
are
a world
spiking.
ruled by
We're
giants,
losing containment.
you'd never
Look at
sleep
the
peacefully
seismic
again.
scan. What is that thing?
Every rumble in the night could be a footstep. Every shifting shadow could be a hand reaching down to pluck you from your hiding place. Your nervous system, designed for moments of stress, would be permanently overloaded. Within weeks, you'd be showing symptoms we'd now call severe PTSD. But in this world, there's no recovery. The trauma doesn't end. You'd watch your fellow survivors mentally disintegrate one by one, some reduced to silent shells, sitting motionless, rocking back and forth, their minds broken by terror. Yet the worst part wouldn't be the fear. It would be the helplessness. Humans are problem solvers by nature. We adapt, we invent, we endure. But in the realm of giants, there are no solutions, only momentary postponements of doom. You can't fight beings whose fingernails are stronger than your finest steel. You can't hide from creatures who can reshape the earth itself. You can't reason with monsters who see you as insects. Every natural instinct, fight, flight, or freeze, would betray you. To fight is suicide. To flee is a brief delay before death.
Look out, it's huge!
To freeze is to invite it.
What is that thing?
You'd exist in a state where every reflex
God,
makes your
it's coming
situation
down.
worse. The mental toll of such absolute powerlessness would crush your mind long before a giant's hand ever reached you. As your sanity decays under constant fear, you'd start noticing changes, not just in others, but in yourself. Malnutrition and stress leave you skeletal, your skin pale and thin, your hair turning gray long before its time. Your hands tremble uncontrollably. You flinch at every gust of wind, every echo, every shifting shadow. You've developed what could only be called giant paranoia. You can't relax, can't breathe easy. Your eyes are always on the horizon, searching for silhouettes too large to
Seismic
comprehend.
activity is spiking globally.
You stare at distant
Look at
clouds,
the Pacific, magnitude 12.
wondering if they might
The
conceal
satellite
a
feed is
giant's
showing
face.
something massive.
The few other survivors you meet are hollow reflections of humanity. Conversations are hushed and frantic. Whispers of sightings, rumors of footsteps, desperate plans for food and shelter. No one speaks of the future anymore, because deep down, everyone knows there isn't one. You've all accepted that your survival is nothing but an oversight, a temporary accident that will soon be corrected. And perhaps most chilling of all, some small, exhausted part of you begins to wish for it. Because death, finally, mercifully, would mean the end of fear. So, why wouldn't you survive the Age of Giants? Because true survival would require something no human possesses: the ability to live eternally as prey without losing your sanity, your humanity,
Mother, give
or
me
your will
strength.
to exist.
Let this be swift.
For my family.
Modern
Amen.
humans live in an illusion of control. We believe we dominate
Weapon
nature,
status. Why are
that
the
we've
missiles
tamed the
having no
chaos.
effect?
It's ignoring the barrage.
We've forgotten the
Scramble
terror
air
our
support.
ancestors
The
once
energy
knew,
signature is increasing.
the knowledge that
Evacuate
greater
the coast.
powers walked this earth before us. We've forgotten how to fear. But in the Age of Giants, you would remember. Every sunrise would be a reminder of your insignificance. Every night would teach you humility in the most brutal way imaginable. And eventually, that knowledge would break you. Whether your end came from hunger, disease, an accident, or simply being
We are
noticed by one of
enacting
your
phase
towering
1 of the
overlords,
evacuation
your
protocol.
death would hold
Please
no
remain
meaning.
calm.
You'd be forgotten instantly. Your existence no more significant to them than the squashing of an ant is to you. The real question isn't whether you'd survive the Age of Giants.
My God, look at the
The
scale
question
of them.
is, did that age ever truly end?
They're actually
And if it
walking
hasn't,
across the planet.
Are you ready for what's coming next? Because the ancient prophecies say the giants will return to once again rule openly over the earth. And when they do, modern humanity, soft, distracted, and utterly unprepared, will fare even worse than those who came before. The ancients tried to warn us. They left the evidence carved in stone, etched into sacred texts, and built into the very bones of the earth itself. They spoke of the giants who once ruled this world. beings who drenched the earth in violence, who looked upon humanity as nothing more than insects to crush or devour. But we've dismissed those warnings as myth, their testimonies as folklore, their fears as mere superstition. And maybe that's exactly what the giants were waiting for us to forget. Because in the age of giants, ignorance isn't bliss, it's extinction. So tell me, are we still living beneath their shadow? Or are we standing on the brink of their return? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this eye-opening, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss what's coming next. If you're ready to uncover how the Nephilim may have survived the flood and could still walk among us today, click on the next video appearing on your screen right now. Keep your minds open, and until we meet again,